All right, strap in, everyone. We are going deep on The Art of War by Sun Tzu,
Yeah.
which is, let's be honest, like a strategy cheat code for, well, basically any situation,
Oh, absolutely.
not just for, actual battles,
It's incredible how relevant this ancient text still is today.
right?
I mean, Sun Tzu's grasp of human psychology and strategy, it's just timeless.
And we're going way beyond the surface here. Like, you brought in a whole pile of articles
Yeah.
analyzing the art of war,
Yeah.
plus your own notes on applying it to leadership today, even some historical context. So we're really digging deep to pull out the wisdom that's useful, for you, for me,
Exactly. That's the
the
goal.
actionable takeaways, not just a history lesson. So
Yeah, absolutely.
let's start with the foundation, which Sun Tzu lays out in chapter 1, those
Yeah.
5 constant factors.
Right.
Now, he talks about moral law, heaven, earth, the commander, and method and discipline.
Mm.
And I gotta be honest, on the surface, those sound a little,
They do sound a bit abstract
abstract, yeah.
at first,
Yeah.
but they're actually incredibly practical.
Okay.
Think about it this way. Moral law, it's all about the alignment between the leader and their people.
Okay.
That sense of shared purpose that gets everyone to, be on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone wants to fight for the same cause. Like in a company,
Yeah.
that's like a strong company culture.
Okay, so it's not about just like barking orders, it's about getting people to actually believe in it.
Exactly. It's buy-in. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. But heaven, I'm picturing like fluffy clouds and angels.
Huh?
Doesn't seem very strategic.
Not quite.
Okay.
Sun Tzu's talking about factors that are outside of your control.
Okay.
So that could be weather, the time of day, or even like, the market crashing,
Oh, okay.
things like that. And he really stresses understanding those things,
Yeah.
adapting to them, not trying to fight against them.
So it's like acknowledging there are things you can't change and then figuring out how to use them
Right.
to your advantage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of like a surfer, reading the waves.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got moral law,
Mm-hmm.
we've got heaven. What about earth?
So Earth, that's the physical terrain.
Okay.
Think about a general who's analyzing the landscape.
Mm-hmm.
Distances, dangers, choke points, that's Earth. But Sun Tzu is also talking about the terrain
Right.
of any situation. So that could be like the competitive landscape of business,
Oh, interesting.
or even like the emotional dynamics of a relationship.
Wow.
It's all about knowing your surroundings,
Mm.
how they're going to influence what happens.
This is already making me think about all the terrains I deal with every day.
Right.
Okay, so we've got moral law, heaven, earth.
Mm-hmm.
What about the commander?
The commander.
Does Sun Tzu give us like a leadership cheat sheet or something?
He does. He highlights things like wisdom, sincerity, benevolence,
Okay.
courage, and strictness.
So a mixed bag.
It is a mix. A good leader has to be both respected and decisive.
Mm-hmm.
Think about like a head coach who can both inspire their team, but also keep everyone disciplined.
Right. So it's not just about like being everyone's best friend.
Right.
It's about actually being competent
Yeah, you got to command respect.
and making tough calls.
Exactly.
Okay, so then we have method and discipline.
Right.
Which sounds like the organizational side of things.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's about having clear structures, processes, logistics, so everything runs smoothly.
So basically, having your ducks in a row.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sun Tzu, big fan of project management software.
I think he would be.
Probably, yeah. Now, the way you've explained this is interesting because it makes these 5 constant factors feel less like ancient military jargon and more like actually useful tools to understand any strategic situation.
Yeah, and that's what's so brilliant about Sun Tzu.
Mm.
He gives us this framework for strategic thinking that it works across time,
Yeah.
across context.
Okay, so we have the foundation, but then Sun Tzu says you have to analyze these factors not just on their own,
Right,
but in relation to your opponent, right?
exactly. So
Yeah.
you need to compare your moral law to theirs.
Okay.
Whose side is more motivated, more unified? Whose logistics, their method and discipline are stronger? Who has the advantage when it comes to terrain?
It's like a SWOT analysis, but like supercharged.
They do.
Like you're comparing yourself to your opponent across these 5 key dimensions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And by doing that, you get a way clearer picture of the power dynamics at play.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the next chapter, Sun Tzu dives into something that might seem kind of counterintuitive,
Okay.
the cost of conflict.
Wait, the cost? I thought, the goal was to win no
Yeah.
matter what.
It's common thought.
Like, that's how a lot of people think, right?
Yeah.
Just win at all cost.
But Sun Tzu, he argues that a long war
Okay.
is actually bad for both sides.
Oh, interesting.
Even the winner. He's talking about, like, the economic burden, resources being drained, hits to morale.
Yeah.
So it's not just about winning, it's about winning efficiently.
That's a fascinating perspective.
Yeah.
It's like he's saying, yeah, you could win, but if you're, exhausted,
Right.
depleted, what have you really gained?
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's why he advocates for quick, decisive action whenever possible. He even talks about foraging on the enemy.
Whoa, okay, foraging on the enemy. Now that sounds intense.
Because,
But how does that translate to, like, say, a business negotiation? Can't exactly raid my competitor's office supplies.
no, not literally.
Okay.
But think about it. Instead of draining your own resources by trying to overpower the other side, you could look for ways to leverage their needs,
Oh, okay.
their strengths even,
Okay.
to make it a win-win for both of you.
So you're finding creative solutions that help you, but also minimize the overall cost
Exactly.
of the whole thing.
Yeah.
I like that. It's like, what's that, judo?
Yeah.
Using your opponent's weight against them.
Exactly.
I like it.
And that leads us perfectly into chapter 3, where Sun Tzu takes this idea even further.
Okay.
He talks about supreme excellence, which is basically winning without even fighting.
Hold on. Winning without fighting, how is that even possible?
That's the genius of Sun Tzu.
Okay.
He's talking about breaking down the enemy's resistance,
Okay.
but through things like strategic maneuvering, psychological warfare, diplomacy. Think about a company that just outmaneuvers its competitors, makes them irrelevant without ever, making an aggressive move.
So it's like a mental chess game where you checkmate them before you even start playing.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah. Okay, and that brings us to probably one of the most famous chapters in The Art of War.
Yeah.
Chapter 4, where he talks about deception.
The power of deception.
Yeah. He's got that famous line, all warfare is based on deception.
That's right.
Okay, now we're getting sneaky. I'm picturing smoke and mirrors, secret agents, misinformation.
He does talk about things like creating false appearances, hiding your true intentions, even feeding the wrong information to your opponent.
Right.
But it's not about lying just to lie.
Okay, so it's more about being strategic with the information you do share.
Exactly.
And how you present yourself.
That's right.
Okay.
Sun Tzu believed a really skilled general, they got to be adaptable like water.
Okay.
He even says, the good fighters of old first put themselves beyond the possibility of defeat and then waited for an opportunity of defeating the enemy.
Wait, beyond defeat.
Yeah.
So it's like you make sure your position is strong.
Right.
You minimize your weaknesses before you even think about attacking. Yeah, it's a powerful defensive strategy.
It is. It's like making sure your own castle is totally secure before you even consider going after someone else's.
Exactly.
This is making me rethink my whole approach to, well, everything.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we've covered these foundational principles, the cost of conflict, this idea of winning without fighting,
Yeah,
the art of deception.
it's a lot.
It is. What else does Sun Tzu have for us in this strategic masterclass?
Well, let's talk about terrain, but not just the physical kind.
Okay.
Sun Tzu really gets into understanding different strategic situations. He calls them grounds, and how each one needs a different approach.
Okay, so we're talking grounds now.
Yeah.
I'm already intrigued.
Chapter 11, he lays out 9 different kinds of ground.
Okay.
But they're not just about the landscape, the physical one.
Okay.
He's using ground as this metaphor for all the different situations you might find yourself in, strategically.
Oh, interesting. So it's like a mental map of all the different battlefields we might end up on, even if they're not, literal battlefields.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So, for example, he talks about dispersive ground, which is basically your own territory.
Okay.
And Sun Tzu says, you actually want to avoid fighting on this ground
Oh, why is that?
because it puts your resources at risk,
Okay.
exposes your home base to attack.
Right. So why fight on your own turf if you don't have to?
Yeah, you don't want to bring the fight to your own doorstep.
Yeah, that never ends well.
Right.
Okay.
Then he's got facile ground, which is territory just outside your borders.
Okay.
And he says it's risky to hang out there for too long because you're vulnerable to a counterattack.
Yeah.
You could get cut off from your supplies.
It's like being stuck in no man's land.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And then there's contentious ground,
Okay.
which is, well, territory that's valuable to both sides.
Oh, so everyone wants it.
Yeah, exactly. Sun Tzu says, be careful about attacking here.
Okay.
Probably heavily defended.
Yeah.
The fighting is going to be intense.
It's like a strategic hotspot
It is.
where everyone's trying to, like, grab control.
Exactly.
Okay, so this is really making me think about, like, choosing your battles wisely.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Sun Tzu seems to be saying not every fight is worth fighting, right?
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
That's one of the key takeaways from The Art of War.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing when to engage and when to just hold back.
Right.
In fact, Chapter 3 actually digs into this whole concept
Okay, let's talk about that.
of picking your battles.
Yeah, I'm curious what he has to say about that.
Well, he says this really interesting thing.
Okay.
He says, hence, to fight and conquer in all your battles is not supreme excellence. Supreme excellence consists of breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting.
Whoa. Okay, so it's not about, like,
Yeah.
being a bully, proving you're the toughest. It's more about...
It's about getting what you want,
Right.
but with the least amount of friction possible.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he goes on to actually rank different types of engagements, from like the most favorable to the least favorable.
Okay.
And actual fighting, like a straight up battle, that's actually pretty low on the list.
How interesting.
He prefers things like disrupting the enemy's plans,
Okay.
keeping their forces from joining up,
Okay.
attacking when they're not ready.
So it's like, why even bother with a huge battle
Right?
if you can just outsmart them before things get messy?
Exactly.
Okay.
And this brings us right back to the importance of deception.
Hmm?
Knowing your enemy,
Right.
picking those battles strategically, it all ties together.
This is making me think about all the times I've gotten into these stupid arguments,
Right?
pointless conflicts that I probably could have just avoided.
It happened.
It really does. It's like, it's a good reminder to step back and say, is this fight even worth it?
It is.
Okay.
And Sun Tzu actually gives us this framework for making those decisions.
Okay.
He says you got to consider the cost, the potential benefits, your chances of winning, what the long-term consequences might be before you jump into animal conflict.
So it's like a cost-benefit analysis,
It is.
but not just for money,
Right.
but for
Yeah.
time, energy, relationships.
All of it.
Yeah.
And honestly, sometimes the smartest move is to just walk away.
Just walk away.
Yeah, it's not about being weak or passive. It's
Right.
about being strategic.
So you're picking your battles,
Yeah.
you know, when to fight and when to fold.
Exactly.
Okay, but even when you do choose to engage, Sun Tzu's really big on adapting. He's like, warfare is fluid, it's dynamic, you got to be ready to change your plans.
He is. He actually compares a good general to water.
Okay.
He says military tactics are like unto water, for water in its natural course runs away from high places and hastens downwards.
There's that water analogy again.
Yeah, right.
I'm sensing a pattern here.
Sun Tzu loved using water as this metaphor
Yeah.
for adaptability.
Okay.
He saw how water just flows around obstacles. It finds the easiest path, constantly adjusts to whatever's around it.
So a good strategist, they're like water. Flexible, responsive, changing their approach as needed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he says, just as water retains no constant shape, so in warfare, there are no constant conditions.
So basically, if you're rigid,
Yeah.
you're going to lose.
You're not going to win.
Okay.
He's saying you got to have that mindset of flexibility, of being open, willing to let go of your old ideas and adjust as you need to.
Okay, so you're agile, you're
Yeah.
responsive, always ready to switch things up.
Exactly. And he even gives some practical advice on how to develop that kind of adaptability.
Okay.
He talks about the importance of observation,
Okay.
gathering intel, always staying informed.
So it's like always having your finger on the pulse, you're
Yeah.
gathering data,
Mm-hmm.
adjusting your plan based on what you're seeing.
You got it?
And that feedback loop,
It's important.
not just in war, right, but in anything where you got to make smart choices. Okay, so we've talked about choosing your battles wisely,
Yeah.
adapting to change.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
Well, he also gets into the psychology of leadership and how to build a strong, cohesive team.
Okay.
He emphasizes things like morale, discipline, creating that shared purpose.
So it's not just about giving orders, it's about inspiring people
Exactly.
to believe in the mission.
Yeah, he uses this really powerful image in Chapter 10.
Okay.
He says, regard your soldiers as your children, and they will follow you into the deepest valleys. Look upon them as your own beloved sons, and they will stand by you even unto death.
Wow, that's intense.
It is.
But I get it. You
Yeah.
know, it's about building trust, loyalty, making people feel like they're part of something bigger.
Exactly.
Okay.
But he also warns about being too indulgent.
Oh, okay.
He says, if, however, you are indulgent, but unable to make your authority felt, kind-hearted but unable to enforce your commands, then your soldiers must be likened to spoiled children. They are useless for any practical purpose.
So it's like, you got to find that
Yeah.
balance between being supportive and being firm.
Right.
You care about your people,
Hmm.
but you also got to hold them accountable.
Exactly.
It's like parenting or coaching or mentoring.
All of the above?
You gotta, you gotta nurture and guide,
Yeah.
but you gotta set boundaries and expectations too.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And Sun Tzu actually gives some real practical advice on how to do that,
Okay.
how to build that kind of leadership.
Mm-hmm.
He says clear communication is important, setting a good example,
Right.
rewarding people for their efforts.
So lead by example, show them what you want, recognize their contributions.
Exactly.
Okay.
He really understood that leadership isn't just about power.
Yeah.
It's about responsibility, vision, and helping others reach their full potential.
Man, we've covered a lot.
We have.
Choosing your battles, adapting, understanding those strategic situations.
Mm-hmm.
Strong leadership.
It's a lot.
What else does Sun Tzu have to say about strategy and winning in life, basically?
Well, let's talk about one of his most interesting ideas, using the enemy's psychology against them. Sun Tzu, he was a master at reading people,
Okay.
anticipating their moves, and he could turn their own emotions into weapons.
Ah. Okay, so now we're getting into the mind games,
Yeah.
which I gotta say sounds kind of intimidating.
It can be, but remember, Sun Tzu, his ultimate goal was to win,
Mm-hmm.
but with the least amount of bloodshed and destruction.
Right?
So understanding your enemy's psychology, it wasn't about manipulation just to manipulate.
Okay.
It was about finding the smartest,
Mm-hmm.
most humane way to find a solution.
So using this knowledge ethically,
Exactly.
not just to, take advantage of people.
Yeah.
Okay.
For example, in Chapter 3, he writes, if your opponent is of choleric temper, seek to irritate him. Pretend to be weak that he may grow arrogant.
Oh, that's sneaky.
It is.
It's like you're playing on their ego,
Right.
making them overconfident, making them underestimate you.
Exactly. He also says, if he is taking his ease, give him no rest. If his forces are united, separate them. Attack him where he is unprepared, appear where you are not expected.
So basically, keep them off balance,
Yeah.
disrupt their plans, exploit any weakness you can find.
It's like a dance, a strategic dance.
Yeah, I like that.
You're constantly moving, adapting, trying to get that advantage.
And this understanding psychology like this isn't just for war, right?
Well, not all.
This is negotiations, competition, even just everyday stuff.
Absolutely.
It's making me think about all those times I felt outmaneuvered or manipulated.
Yeah.
Now I'm kind of seeing those situations differently.
Yeah, it's a different lens.
It's like you're watching a chess game, but the pieces are people's emotions.
Exactly.
Okay.
And when you know these tactics,
Mm-hmm.
you can protect yourself from being manipulated.
Right.
And you can even use them strategically when you need to.
Okay.
It's all about knowing what game is being played
Mhm.
and knowing how to play it.
Right. It's not about being a jerk or anything. It's
Right.
about being smart.
It's about strategy.
Yeah. Okay.
But even with all this focus on strategy and psychology, Sun Tzu, he also stresses taking action.
Right.
He talks about being decisive,
Mm-hmm.
seizing the right moment.
Okay.
It's not enough to just plan.
Yeah, you got to actually do it.
You got to execute.
Okay.
In Chapter 4, he writes, the quality of decision is like the well-timed swoop of a falcon, which enables it to strike and destroy its victim.
Whoa, that's a powerful image.
It is.
The falcon waiting for that perfect moment.
Yeah.
Then bam, strikes fast and precise.
Yeah, pining is everything.
It is. It's like that saying, hesitation is defeat or something like that. If you overthink it, you miss your chance.
That's right.
In this whole decisiveness thing, this isn't just for war either, is it?
Sure.
It's anything where you got to grab opportunities
Exactly.
and make things happen.
It is.
Sometimes I think the hardest part is getting over that fear. Yeah. The fear of taking action, making the wrong move.
The fear of making a mistake.
Yeah, but Sun Tzu's saying you got to take risks, right?
He is. Calculated risks.
Okay.
He says, develop the courage to act,
Okay.
even when you're not 100% sure.
Even when you're scared.
Even when you're scared.
Sometimes the best thing to do is just do something.
Just make a move.
Yeah.
Create some momentum.
This is kind of inspiring.
I think it is.
It's like he's saying, trust your gut,
Yeah,
be bold, take charge.
absolutely.
Okay, so last thing then.
Okay.
This idea of a warrior's mindset.
Yeah.
But in peacetime,
Right.
Sun Tzu thought these principles, they weren't just for winning battles, they were for winning at life.
That's right.
So we take these strategic ideas
Yeah.
and we use them in our everyday lives,
Yeah.
even when we're not, facing some big conflict.
Even when things are calm, he's encouraging us to be disciplined, focused, resilient, always learning, always growing.
So always be prepared.
Yeah. Always be sharpening your skill,
Never let your guard down.
even when things are good.
Yeah, okay.
It's a mindset of continuous improvement.
Okay.
And Sun Tzu, he believed that was the key to mastery.
This has been amazing.
It has been fun.
It's like you've given me this whole new way of looking at the world.
I'm glad.
Every problem is like a puzzle.
It is, yeah.
And there are strategic ways to solve it.
That's right.
I'm excited to keep learning more about Sun Tzu.
There's a lot to learn.
Yeah?
And I bet as you explore his teachings, you'll find even more
Oh, for sure.
hidden depths and wisdom.
Now, I kind of want to go reread The Art of War with, fresh eyes.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. And to everyone listening, I definitely recommend picking up a copy
Yeah, do it.
and see what Sun Tzu can teach you about leadership, making decisions, and just navigating life, really.
He's got a lot to say.
He does. Until next time, stay sharp, everyone.